that just take you away to a beautiful place? A place that maybe you're familiar with from your past. A place that maybe you seem to be able to visualize. Maybe it's a deja vu kind of experience, a dream, a green meadow full of sunlight and insects, not dangerous insects. The kind of insects that just create some noise and don't sting humans. Long blades of grass, but cut into a trail at some parts. Daffodils, lilies, birds humming and big. Just transported by this Acoustic Waxes podcast jingle into this place where the only noises you hear besides the insects and birds and a light breeze going through the leaves is Waxes podcast 24/7. Just me talking, ranting about what's going on in the world, whether it's the world of, Earth, or the world which is my little world that I live in, my life, or whatever it is, because there's no rules. No rules on Waxes podcast, and there wouldn't be any rules in this valley meadow of Waxes podcast / nature and acoustic music. This is episode 109, y'all. That's a lot of fucking episodes. That is a lot of hours of me talking. And I owe a lot to this podcast. I owe a lot. Because of this podcast, I can, I don't know. It didn't really do anything for me, to be honest with you, but it has given me a better ability to just sit here and rant and rave. Better ability to just kind of talk without saying anything. If I could go back to school right now, back to high school and college, if you remember when you're in high school and college, some of you are in high school and college. You got to write a paper, and people would use the term bullshit. I bullshitted my way through it. I could do that easily. You give me the fucking thesis statement, I'll plug a microphone into my laptop, into some whatever program can somehow make my words into type, and I'll do every goddamn paper freestyle. I won't research anything. I'll make up my own facts and citations, hoping that the teacher won't look it up. And it'll sound so brilliant that they would think there's no way that it was falsified. They would think this is the best paper I've ever received at Harvard. And I taught a lot of brilliant people here at Harvard Graduate School for esteemed lawyers and doctors and scientists. But never before have I had a man that was majoring in all three of those things, being a doctor, being a lawyer, and being a scientist at the same time, and somehow weave in and out of concepts that have to do with surgery, prosecution and defense, and chemistry. Somehow weaving between these topics and making one point brilliantly. Yeah, this is Wax. Before I start, I will say that I just put out episode 2 of season 2 of my show, Chain Reaction, where I go to restaurants that you've heard of, unless you're living under a fucking rock somewhere. Have you heard of Kentucky Fried Chicken? No? Where do you live, and by what Amish family were you raised? KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken. Most of us listening to this have had KFC because I've actually been out of the country a little bit, and KFC is actually one of the restaurants that you see in Europe still. McDonald's being the biggest one, of course. Burger King is up there. But interestingly enough, for some reason, I guess KFC has an international life as well. So even the international listeners of Wax's podcast might say, "Oh yes, of course, may have had it." That was like a cross between all English-speaking countries' accents that's not in the United States. If you were an Australian that went to middle school in South Africa, high school in Scotland, and then moved to New Zealand, that's how you would have said whatever I just said. Anyway, we all know KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken. I just did a show on that. I went to Kentucky Fried Chicken, and I talked about some of the things that they serve while eating them. Had some pretty good little jokes on there. If you're wondering whether or not you should eat a Kentucky Fried Chicken, if you're wondering whether or not you should eat a Kentucky Fried Chicken, the answer is no, you shouldn't. If you're concerned about your health, is it a good idea to eat a Kentucky Fried Chicken? No. They don't serve anything healthy there. The only thing healthy you can order at Kentucky Fried Chicken is water. That's it. And even that, especially depending on where you are, I do say that. Depending on where you are, the water could be fucking bad for you too. If you live in the state of Michigan, you're better off ordering a Mountain Dew. So yeah, that's up on my YouTube page. If you don't like YouTube, go to my Facebook page. I didn't actually upload it straight to Facebook, but you can get a link to it, which I guess takes you to YouTube anyway. Times are changing in the internet world. I probably should have uploaded it to YouTube, to Facebook as well. That's what I've been doing recently. A lot of people watch videos on Facebook more often. So maybe I'll do like, when the series is over, I'll do a rerun and just post it all to Facebook. We'll see what happens. Who knows? I know that you're worried about it, and I know that you care. But that's what's going on. There's so much going on in the world that's interesting right now, man. First of all, let me just give my take on something. This past Sunday, I had a couple people over at the crib. My boy AK he's a cinematographer, and he shot pretty much all my music videos, and he's one of my best friends. And since he was a kid, he's been a big movie fan. Loves movies and films. I don't know the difference between those two things. Either way, he wanted to watch the Oscars, and now I have a house with a grand TV. I got a backyard, grill for barbecuing, cable, none of which he has. So he was like, yo, can we watch the Oscars at your house? He likes to watch the Oscars. I was like, okay. So it turned out that I had like a very, very small get-together. Like 4 or 5 people came through to watch the Oscars at my house, which I only watched a little bit of it because me personally, I'm not a big fan of the Oscars. So I was kind of like walking in and out of the TV room to the grill, to the studio, to whatever. More having to get together than watching the Oscars. But AK and a couple other people that were here were watching it. And, the big controversy recently has been that the Oscars so white. The lack of diversity at the Oscars. And I didn't really pay that much attention to it because if anybody who listens to this show knows, I fucking don't really have a lot of respect for award shows, period. Especially the Oscars. It's the worst one. But watching it this time, I was like, God damn. It really is white. It's extremely white. It always has been white. And it's just reflective of American society. It's just like if you watched an institution such as the government or Hollywood. These institutions came to be when our country was openly racist, and all the people that have rose to power and kept power are a reflection of, the systemic white leadership in the country. That's the way it's been, and it just hasn't changed. A side note of interestingness, they make it very black and white when in reality there's a lot of other things besides white, Hispanic, Asian, Native American that are even more underrepresented in major films. To play devil's advocate, I heard somebody make this point, I don't remember who it was, but if I was the motherfucker that put $20 million of my own dollars into a movie and they said, who do you want to star in it? I'd say, give me the guy that makes the most money, that makes people go to the movie theater. And usually those are movie stars, and usually those people happen to be white. So it's easy for me to complain when I'm not putting my own money up. That said, the point I want to make is, dude, I don't know if you watch the Oscars, but it's the most snooty fucking stand in good posture and wear a tuxedo, self fucking pat on the back, self-congratulatory bullshit that there is. I tweeted after watching it, the Oscars where people that have full-time personal chefs who play make-believe for a living take turns talking about how brave they are. I'm sorry, man. I just don't buy it. I've always said this. I think this is for music too, but why do we put so much? I mean, I understand that it's entertainment business. So everybody that does every profession, whether you're a lawyer, a doctor, a construction worker, whatever, all of those people watch movies and listen to music. So I understand why actors are famous. That doesn't escape me at all. I understand, of course, the entertainment business, entertainment in general, inherently is a business where people become known and famous. That said, I don't see why we have to give these motherfuckers awards every fucking 2 weeks. Where they can sit there in their fucking tuxedos and fancy whatever dresses and jewelry, makeup, hair and wardrobe, whatever the fuck. Maybe let them do that shit once a year, maybe. But it seems like every week there's another award show where these people are going on stage and talking about how brave the performance was. It's not that brave. If we're talking about brave performances, the bravest performance I've ever seen was fucking Borat. Because there was actual danger. There was some level of actual danger when you're going out into the public and saying things that offend people and saying things that you could get your ass kicked. I don't give a fuck what role you're playing. I don't give a fuck how historic of a figure it was. I don't give a fuck about any of that shit. If you're just fucking acting like somebody else, playing pretensies, I don't see the bravery in it. It's not brave. You could say it's good. You could say it was well done. But it's not fucking brave, okay? It's not what I consider bravery. I consider bravery being a fucking miner, working down in the mines all day so you can put the fucking KFC on your family's table. That's brave. Then that guy dies in the mine. The mine fucking goes down. He's a fucking folk hero. And then you, 15 years later, 50 years later, whatever, act like him. You act like him. But you know what? The fucking mine ain't falling on you. Tom Hanks or whoever. That's the only actor's name I know. I don't have any problem with Tom Hanks. He actually seems like one of the cooler ones. He seems like one of the... I feel bad for saying him because he seems like one of the ones that doesn't take himself so fucking seriously. Just don't get it, man. Get over yourself. Get over yourself. Retreat to your villa. I don't give a fuck. I also am not a fan of movies. I'm not saying I don't like movies, but there wasn't one movie in the Oscars that I saw. I don't go to the movies. I certainly don't judge them. I don't fucking know. I don't know why I'm so passionate about award shows and actors. Just don't like them, man. Just don't like them. I used to play pretend too. I used to pretend that I was a G.I. Joe when I was 4. Nah, I don't know, man. I fucking still do, man. I still do that shit. What else is going on? The big day today. I'm recording this on Tuesday, which they're calling Super Tuesday. And me and my roommates have been really into the political process this time. This election is interesting. I don't usually get real into politics, especially on the podcast. But you got to admit, man, this year it's a fucking circus. It's like the most entertaining reality show we've seen in a long time. Not surprisingly, it's led by a person who rose to fame. Well, he rose to fame a long time ago, but recently his resurgence was based on a reality show, and he's one of the greatest reality show stars of our time, Donald Trump. He's just a fucking genius when it comes to saying shit that will get the attention of the public. He's a genius with that shit. And that said, I think in general he might be pretty dumb. But he's a genius with what he needs to be a genius with. And it's resulted in some crazy shit, y'all. I don't know if you've been watching recently, but the last couple of days, the level of discourse amongst the Republican primary presidential candidates has sunk down to a level of juvenilism. I don't know how you would say that, but just it's shocking. It's shocking how juvenile the discourse is between the Republican candidates. I mean, they're making fun of the way each other looks a lot. Granted, you can say a thing here or there, you know, especially with Donald Trump looking the way he does, but they're really going to like some little insults. Talking about he sweats a lot. Then he's talking about his skin. He's talking about his hair. He's talking about the size of his hands. This is Marco Rubio versus Donald Trump. And to me, it's just like I've never seen something so petty. We're talking about the person that's supposed to run the fucking country. The country with the most military strength in the entire world. We have enough shit here where we could blow up the entire world. We have atomic bombs, nuclear bombs. I don't know the difference between those two things. But I know they both, the combination of all of them that we have here in the United States could blow up the world. And the person that's going to be in charge of that is talking about how much the other one sweats or the size of the other one's hand. Hopefully his hands aren't big enough to reach the button. Maybe that'll be the way it works out. Yeah, it's just crazy, man. If you're out there listening to this and you're like, yo, Wax, I'm voting for Donald Trump, I beg of you to reconsider. Really go and look at all the shit he's been saying. I know when he first came out, when he first announced, I get it, when he first announced he was not from the political system. He's a, quote, smart businessman, which he's fucking not. He's not. Go look at his failures. You know, matter of fact, if you want a fun way to look at his failures, just watch the thing John Oliver. John Oliver this last week tonight, what the fuck is this show called? Watch his takedown of Donald Trump. Just watch that and that's all you need to know. He's not a brilliant businessman. He's had plenty of failures. He had a failed steak company, a failed online university, and plenty of failed ventures when it comes to just big-ass buildings. He had a failed mortgage company. He's not worth as much money as he says he's worth. Don't believe the lies. Point is, I get it when he came out and first came onto the scene. This is what happened, y'all. This is what happened. Especially for you guys outside of America that don't understand how the fuck this is happening. This is what happened. America has become an ego-driven state, an ego-driven, self-serving country. And if you think about it, Donald Trump is the perfect embodiment of what the new American dream is. He has orange skin. He has fake hair. He has tons of money. He has his name written in gold on huge skyscrapers that have casinos in them. In my opinion, running a casino is just as bad, if not worse, as being a drug dealer. So for him to say that he's being tough on drug dealers from Mexico is laughable to me from an ethical standpoint, because what's a drug dealer? A drug dealer is someone who preys on other people's addictions to get their fucking last bit of money out that penny jar, which is their wallet or whatever. And it's no different if you own a casino. You're preying on gambling addicts. They have Gamblers Anonymous meetings just like they have Narcotics Anonymous and Alcoholics Anonymous. Just happens to be that it's legal. It's not legal everywhere. It's not even legal everywhere here. Why ain't anybody talking about that? You think he gives a fuck about poor people? Go to Atlantic City and walk into a fucking casino in the middle of the day on a Monday. See who's in there. See who's in there and tell me you think Donald Trump gives a fuck about poor people. Anyway, he's become the perfect embodiment of the new American dream, which is based completely on greed. And somehow that is also in line with evangelical Christianity. That makes no fucking sense to me. Jesus was a Jewish socialist, if you think about it. He hung out with prostitutes. He gave food and bread. He gave bread and fishes to the poor. He said in the Bible that the rich man has a better chance of fitting through the hole at the end of a sewing needle than getting into heaven. I don't understand how these two worlds combine and think they have anything to do with each other. Evangelical Christianity and Trumpism. But that's what happened, though. He is the perfect representation, the human living embodiment of the new American dream. Like him and Kanye are not that far off from each other. Kim Kardashian's right in there with him. This new fucking flashy gold. Look at my hot wife. Like, this is the new dream. Forget the two kids in the picket fence. That's old news. But what happened was when he came out on the scene, he told everybody that he was telling the truth, and dumb people believed him because he was speaking really, really loud. And he wasn't part of the traditional Washington politician, whatever, that people are sick of. And this is what happened. I'll tell you exactly what the fuck happened. People bought the fucking hat. People bought the t-shirt. And once you buy the t-shirt, once you buy the hat, no matter how much crazy shit he says after you did that, you just can't tell your friends that you changed your mind. There's something wrong with America where you can't just change your fucking mind. Throw away the hat, throw away the shirt. Be like, you know what? I like the dude. When he first came out, he was cool. I thought what he was saying was interesting. But then he started to say all this shit about Mexicans. He started to say all this shit about Muslims. He started to be a total dude. He says he's going to make Mexico pay for this wall. The ex-president of Mexico says, we ain't paying for that wall. And he goes, well, it just got 10 feet higher. Do you understand how fucking childish that is? The leader of the free world cannot negotiate based on his feelings and ego like that. Do you guys understand how fucking childish that is? If you don't, then you're dumb. If you do, throw away the hat. Throw away the shirt. Change your mind. That's the problem with this country is we're not allowed to change our minds. People aren't voting with intellect. They're voting with ego. And they argue, you fucking walk outside of your house with your Donald Trump hat on, and you look over at your neighbor, what's up, Bill? And Bill says, oh, Trump guy, eh? And you're like, yep, I like what the guy's talking about. I really like, I'm feeling him right now. Walk outside a couple months later after Trump said all this crazy shit and acted like a child. Bill says, Trump guy. And you don't have the balls to say, you know what, Bill? Changed my mind, man. That guy's a little crazy for me. I thought at first that he was all right. But then I realized he's crazy, Bill. My point is throw away the hat. Give yourself a break. You didn't know that he was like that. We can't have that dude run the country, man. And I say that as a dude who usually thinks it doesn't really matter who the president is because everybody is controlled by corporations and a corrupt political system. And I know that Donald Trump isn't exactly non-corrupt himself, but I think that if he's the president, it actually could create some problems. You know what I'm saying? What else do I got to say this week? God damn, it's been a beautiful week over here in Los Angeles, man. I feel bad for anybody that lives in a place where the weather is bad because really for the last 2 weeks, every single day has just been absolutely gorgeous here. Here in the Sherman Oaks region of Los Angeles. And, you know what? Speaking of Los Angeles, if you are in Los Angeles or know somebody in Los Angeles, on March 10th in North Hollywood at a place called The Federal. It's an awesome bar in North Hollywood. Me and my boy T-Rex are putting on a show called The Federal Offense. Starts at 7:30. It's an earlier show. If you want to stick around after our show, they do a thing every Thursday night where they have like a 90s hip-hop party with like 90s hip-hop DJs. So that's why we did ours early because they do that every Thursday night. So now that's the official after party. The official after party for the show is right there in the same room, and it's got fucking DJ spinning 90s hip-hop, which for me is probably my favorite genre of music. So come on out to that, man. If you know somebody out here, tell them to come through. I'm going to be doing a bunch of songs. We got comedians there doing jokes. We're going to have a really special guest. Can't even announce it yet because as soon as I announce it, they'll cancel it. But we're going to have a really, really known across the world special guest. And it's going to be a good time. So come out to that. Besides that, I'm going to probably get into some questions and shout-outs. I think I had a lot of questions today. All right, y'all. All right. I'm back with a vengeance. Let's talk shout-outs. I've been doing pretty good with the emails, man. I still got a few left to go. I didn't get through all of them this week, but I got through a good amount of them. And got some good questions today. Not a lot of shout-outs, but a lot of good questions. Let's go. Shout-out to Cliffy. Shout out to Anthony L. Big, super huge shout out to Nate the Plate. Nate's keeping us in limbo out here. He sent me an email. I can't remember how he worded it, but he was like, yeah, my bad on not getting you the story about how I became Nate the Plate. I think that's like the second or third time he's emailed me. Kind of building anticipation. Nate, we all want to hear it. And I'm starting to fucking think that maybe Nate the Plate just like one day randomly said, I'm Nate the Plate for no reason at all. And now he's stalling because he's trying to make up some grandiose story about where he got the name Nate the Plate. And you know what? I bet you he just goes by Nate. And if you talk to his homies that he knows really well, they'll be like, Plate? What the fuck are you talking about, Plate? But we'll see. The challenge is up to you, Nate. Will you send the story of the origin of the nickname The Plate? It's up to you. I ain't going to be mad at you either way, man. Thanks for listening. That's all I care about. I don't even know why I care about that. I don't care if you listen or not. I don't make a goddamn cent off this thing. I bet you there's people that have podcasts that do like advertisements and shit that have less listeners than my podcast. Maybe I should look into doing ads, huh? I do have an Amazon link on my website if you click on podcasts. So if you want to buy, like if you go to Amazon from there, if you buy something from Amazon, I get some tiny percentage of it. I don't even know how to access the money. My brother set that up for me. It was the Herbal Tea Diaper Fund. But guess what? His kids are potty trained now. So I guess still, I got to talk to Herbs about that. I think he's been using all the money on meth or something. Anywho, shout out to Big D. Big D. We got a shout out to Ryan M. Ryan M, the songwriter. Speaking of people with the last name that starts with M, shout out to Tara M. Tara M just took a trip to Los Angeles. I hope she had a good time. I hope you had a good time, Tara. We got Garrett C. We got Andres P. You can check out his band's new demo at www.livingtimemachines.bandcamp.com, spelled how you would think. We got Jack Mama. And we got Alex from San Diego. The San Diegan named Alex. All right, we got, let's see, this one here is from Tony M. Anthony is the government name, he says. Yo, man, great podcast. Also, thanks for shouting out Revolutionary Rhythm. That was cool. Looking forward to the federal show. I'm excited today, man. I don't know why. Huge fan of comedy. Your chain reaction series got me cracking up, too. I'm loving the praise today. First one, full of praise. For the podcast, for the show that hasn't even happened yet, and for the series. Damn. Thank you so much, man. Okay, Sid. But lastly, could you give a shout out to my bros? Epic. Shout out to you, Epic. Standell. Shout out to Standell. And Gavin, por favor. All right, Epic, Standell, and Gavin, and Tony M. Y'all got a interesting named crew. Shout out to y'all. Okay, we got Hey Wax. It's Austin from Chicago. I'm struggling to find a name like Nate the Plate for myself. I've decided to turn to you for assistance. Any ideas? Austin from Chicago. Well, if your name is Austin and you're from Chicago, you could always be Austin not from Boston. You could be, if you were tired, you could be Austin exhausting. You could be, you can't be Austin from, not from Austin, because that's just saying the same word. Unless you did something before it and made it like a Cameron rhyme. Like sitting with Austin, but not living in Austin. What do you got? Costin? Austin. Hi, Costin. No, it's got to be Austin the Rost. That's tough, man. Let me look at the keys on my keyboard to see if any of these letters lead into something with Austin. Austin the Awesome. You could just be Austin the Awesome. That'd be probably a good one, right? Okay. That's the best I can do for you, Austin. Austin and Awesome. They definitely could rhyme in a rap, but right next to each other just doesn't have the ring as Nate the Plate, of course. Austin the Awesome. But it's not too bad. It's not too bad. All right, Wax. My name is RK. Longtime fan, and I fuck with the podcast. I run an Instagram account where I sell vintage clothes. Looking to gain more followers. So if you could shout out my Instagram name, I would really appreciate it. If not, suck a dick, all caps. Parentheses, JK, dog, you're the shit. Well, I appreciate that, RK. Let me actually pull this up, too. The Instagram is Heat for Cheap. That's HEAT _, the number 4 _ CHEAP. I'm going to look that motherfucker up real quick. See how heat-filled his collection of vintage clothes actually are. Let's see. He's got a United We Stand. First one I see is a United We Stand shirt. That was from back when 9/11 had happened. That's pretty classic already right off the top. Okay, you got some shit up here. You got a funny-ass Tommy Hilfiger V-neck shirt down there. That shit's hilarious. Yo, you got some shit. All right. Go to Heat for Cheap. What do you do? Do you just you just sell this shit like right off Instagram? That's pretty genius. I got a friend who sells homemade jewelry, handmade and homemade, I guess, jewelry, and she says Instagram is where she gets all of her sales from. And you don't even have to have that many followers, because if you get a few that like your shit, they'll buy them. Anywho, maybe I should start selling shit on there. God knows I got a lot of fucking shit in my garage I could sell. That'd be a good idea on Instagram. That was just like a yard sale, like IG yard sale. And then you just sell shit on there. I don't know. Hi, Wax. Pouya. Pouya from Iran here. Y'all thought we wasn't international, huh? You thought I was full of shit? Well, this is me talking now. You thought I was full of shit when I was saying we had international listeners, huh? This proves the opposite. And I also think this is actually just a really interesting email for a variety of reasons. Hi, Wax. Pooyah from Iran here. I just wanted to write about what you said about the election changing your daily life. Well, for people in America, it might not affect much. But for me personally, if Trump becomes president, I won't be able to come to America. I won't be able to see you in person for 4 or 8 years unless you decide to go to another country just to meet up. Besides that, living in Iran, we're pretty much surrounded by countries in war, whether it's a civil war, war with ISIS, or other countries. And if Trump becomes president, he might start a war with Iran too, because he was primarily against the nuclear deal that stopped the sanctions. So I kindly ask you and the listeners to tell others not to vote for that guy. Thanks. P.S. I'm drawing Spose and it will be done in 4. P.S. I'm drawing Spose and it will be done in about 5 months. Hyper-realism is tough, but you're next. The work in progress is on my Twitter. If you're interested, thanks for reading. Well, shit, I don't know what your Twitter is, man. I think I tried to look at it, and I don't know how to. I don't know. Let me try something. I'm just gonna type in Pooyah from Iran Twitter. That'd be crazy if it came up. I mean, something came up, but this is probably. I don't see what you're talking about as far as. This is like from post. He hadn't posted since 2014. Pooyah from Iran Twitter doesn't just give you what. Anywho, I'm not gonna fucking sit here and look for your Twitter to find these drawings. I do appreciate that though. I'd love to be a subject of your work. Shout out to Spose too if you're drawing him. I was on his last album. Go pick that up. His last album is called it's something with Happy. God, I'm a fucking asshole. I have a fucking mug with his album title on it. Fuck, I feel like an asshole. I don't remember what his name was. Why Am I So Happy? That's a great album. I'm actually on that album. SPOSE, rapper from Maine. He's dope. He's being drawn by Pooyah from Iran, and I have he also does coffee mugs. He has a coffee mug for his album. Why Am I So Happy? Just recently drank a fresh cup of Joe out of it. So please check that out. And as far as what Pooyah is saying, I agree with him 100%. And the reason I wanted to read this is a lot of people have misconceptions about Iran. There's a lot of ways you can find, like, there's multiple documentaries where people go in Iran. I think a really telling one is actually, there's an Anthony Bourdain one. Anthony Bourdain did a whole episode on Iran, and of course he focuses on restaurants and food. And the point is, the country of Iran is a very westernized country. It's a very modern country. It's a very, I guess for lack of a better word, to someone that lives here in the States, regular. You know, yeah, there's some fundamentalism and shit there, but it's not like just people that fucking live in caves and just imagine that they're killing Americans all day. Just normal cats. They don't want to go to fucking war. Most people don't want to go to war. And if a dude like Pooyah's over there saying, like, look, man, this dude Trump gets in here, you might not have to worry about what's going on. They might not bomb Oklahoma. I was going to say Oklahoma City. It's like the one place where we had a bomb accident. They're not going to bomb Sheboygan. People in Milwaukee, you might not have to worry about airstrikes, but guess what? Me, Pooyah, here in Iran, I might be looking up for the next couple of years, hoping that there's not going to be a fucking bomb dropping on me. So, for his goddamn sake, it's just for the sake of Pooyah, please don't fucking vote for that fool. And thanks for emailing me, man. Glad to hear that you're listening out there. We got another international email. This one comes from Big D. Hey, Mike. I just wanted to let you know the first episode of your second season of Chain Reaction was hilarious. Seems like you're getting more comfortable with the videos and they're getting more entertaining as they go. Yes! You're goddamn right. Thank you, Big D. Shouldn't have said Big D so confidently like that. But anyway, also, I don't know if you've listened to The Life of Pablo yet. But if you have, what do you think of it? For me, it's a hit and miss. Has some tracks like Waves Part 2, Real Friends, Ultralight Beam, and FML are pretty good, but some of the others I feel are a bit whack. I feel are a bit whack is a funny phrase to me. The album seems to be all over the place in terms of style and theme, other than religion being a big part. Also, the way he's been releasing it and handling its release has been interesting as well, but I'm sure it's all part of his plan, just as his Taylor Swift diss was all planned out with Taylor's PR team. Anyways, I didn't know that. Anyways, thought it would be an interesting topic for discussion on the podcast. Big D. I will say this, Big D. I've listened to that album twice through all the way. I actually have the track list right here. It's in our iTunes. Like, where the fuck is that thing? The Life of Pablo. Yeah, I kind of agree with most of the shit that you just said. I like. There's a lot of emotion on the album that is pretty amazing. Emotionally, as far as music creating emotion, I think The Life of Pablo has got to be a 10 out of 10. As far as rap music, especially when compared to some of Kanye's earlier work, if you're a fan of just, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, he goes in on No More Parties in LA, and he goes in a little bit on that Feedback song. But it's not, like a lot of the, I mean, I thought Yeezy was a little bit like this too. I think the last two albums Kanye put out have been pretty incredible as far as instrumentation and emotion in music, but from like a standpoint of hip hop lyricism, it certainly is not his best work. It seems like he'll have this crazy ass thing, and then he'll just do 4 bars about getting his dick sucked or whatever, which I don't have a problem with, but it seemed a little bit thrown together at parts, like some of the songs were so fucking huge that for them to be next to these other songs, it would kind of like feel just like unfinished or part of it kind of felt like a mixtape at times. That said, I think I agree with you 100%, Big D, that it just had really high points, like Ultralight Beam and Waves and Real Friends, which is probably my favorite song off it, actually. It had really, really high points, and then some points that were just kind of like, all right, I could do songs where you're like, I'll never listen to that again. You know what I mean? A lot of albums have that. But, Kanye West, man, he's next level, dude. He's next level. Say what you will about his personality. Say what you will about, like I said earlier, I think that there's a lot of similarities between him and Donald Trump. I think that's why Americans talk about both of those guys so much. I mean, they're these egomaniacs, and they're really representative of what Americans love. Just fucking materialism. But when it comes to music, he's always on that next shit, and I respect the shit out of Kanye West. And I was having a conversation the other day, and I'll continue it on this podcast. I dare any of you to disagree with me. That's a challenge. Maybe even on Twitter, if you have a Twitter, because if you send me an email about it, beatsforwax@gmail.com. If you want to email the podcast, feel free to ask me a question. I'll shout you out, whatever. But if you email it, I might not get to it in a while. But you can, if you email it to me, I'll talk about it on the podcast. How about that? If you got a problem with me saying what I'm about to say, we can continue the debate on the podcast. But when it comes to, via email rather, and I'll talk about it next week. When it comes to hip hop music, I don't believe that Kanye is the greatest rapper of all time. I don't believe he's the greatest when it comes to just rapping. When it comes all around being a great rapper, although I think Kanye is great, I don't think he's the greatest of all time. But when it comes to being a hip hop artist, all around artist in the world of hip hop music, I think it's undebatable. I don't even think it's a debate when you look at the stats, when you look at the numbers, that Kanye is the greatest of all time. There's nobody even close. When you look at the numbers, how many incredible albums he's put out, how many hits he's put out, how many non-hit amazing songs he's put out, how many songs he's produced for other artists that were huge and incredible. How many times he's taken an art, like, who made Kweli's biggest hit? Kanye West. Who and all the Jay-Z hits? College Dropout, Late Registration, Graduation, 808s and Heartbreaks, Yeezus, My Dark Twisted Fantasy, and The Life of Pablo. Nobody. Not one person. Jay-Z doesn't have it. Jay-Z ain't got six 5-stars. 6 5 mic albums. Jay-Z ain't got that. Eminem ain't got 6 5 mic albums. Tupac, Biggie, none of those guys. Nobody. Nas, none of them. Nobody has that many fucking 5 mic albums. And he started after every single person I mentioned. So he has time left. I mean, Jay-Z's what, 8 years older than him probably? If not more than that. And he fucking produces and writes. Sure, he doesn't do everything himself, but I mean, who else has done that? Yeah, he might be a fucking dick. Might not be a nice guy. But I just don't see how it's even debatable. And I think in 15 years, it won't be debatable. It won't be. There won't be anybody saying anything else but Kanye's the greatest. He's Prince. He's not Michael Jackson. He's not Michael Jackson because everybody doesn't love him. He's not likable. That's his biggest problem, and that's maybe where it can be debated. So many people hate him. Maybe that's the debate. You know what? Maybe the better thing is like, who's the greatest radio personality of all time? If you say Howard Stern, maybe Kanye West is Howard Stern. Yeah. I don't know why the fuck I care. Kind of don't. But that's just a thought that I had. I just don't see how it's debatable. Okay, thank you for the email, Big D. Let's go to Robert C. in Phoenix. Congratulations to you, Robert C. in Phoenix. On March 17th, he will be sober for 1 year. Good for you. All right, he says, I was wondering while listening to your last show if you in fact receive beats via this email, given your address, name, and all. If you do you ever consider using them, or do you actually record anything to them? Maybe share them on the podcast if they're worth listening to. Yeah, I still accept beats at beatsforwax@gmail.com. Not many people send me beats. You feel free to send me beats. I've never actually used one. I listen to them all. I've never actually used one. I've had some that were really good, but I've never actually used one, to be honest with you. But I would if I got one that tickled my fancy. Also, how do you feel about letting people have a crack at your instrumentals from past albums? I remember searching vigorously for instrumentals of songs I really enjoyed from artists I loved, but could only ever really find shitty versions of their instrumentals. Those are probably remakes. I always thought to myself that it would be so damn nice if everyone just released the instrumentals for their fans alongside the album. I like to play guitar along to hip-hop instrumentals. What are some of your memories, if any, of instrumentals you really wanted to spit over in the past? Yeah, there's always going to be instrumentals that... There's instrumentals that you like, and there's instrumentals that you go, whoa, that's for me. I mean, the first one that comes to my mind is when I first heard Traffic Jam by Stephen Marley. I ended up making a YouTube video for it, and when I heard it, I was like, dude, that beat is perfect for me to rap on. It was really, really hard to find the instrumental. A lot of times they don't put out the instrumental for various reasons. They don't want people jacking their shit like I did for that fucking one. Sometimes it's just laziness. Sometimes it has to do with legal shit. Like I have the instrumentals to all the songs on my last album, but I'm pretty sure I can't just put them out due to some legal bullshit. But a lot of times that's the thing. But I agree with you. I totally agree with you. Sometimes you hear something, you want to rap over it, or in your case, play guitar over it. And I wouldn't have any problem. I think me and E put out the instrumentals for Liquid Courage many years ago. A lot of times people just don't have it. You just don't make the instrumental sometimes. You just laziness and just I don't know. It's just not something you think about. Recommendation shout out soundcloud.com/_N.A.DOT/good times. He goes by the name NA, pronounced NA, though it reads N.A. Kind of like wax.com, but in reverse. Fuck it. Whatever. You know what I mean? Lastly, what song that is not one of your own songs do you play as you go to when you pick up your acoustic? Be safe in there. Hey. When I pick up an acoustic, I'm not a big player of covers. But you know what? There is a song I go to when I pick up an acoustic guitar. The first thing I play is always just an open G chord, kind of for the purpose. It's a really easy chord to tell if your guitar's in tune right now. If your guitar's in tune, if you just play the open G, you can kind of hear if it's in tune, and you can even kind of hear if it's not. You can hear exactly which strings aren't. And then naturally, after playing the G, I play that boo do 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 gum ba bum doom da doom doom. I guess "Wish You Were Here" by Pink Floyd. So I play like the first couple riffs of that just because it starts with that G, and I always hear it. So that's what I naturally play. All right. We got Aldo from the Bay. Hello, Michael. Can we, audience, call you Mike? You can call me whatever you want. Anyways, in episode 108, you said to send a topic to talk about, so here it is. What do you think about illegal immigration in general? And what is your view of it? Your is capitalized. I guess that means like not some regurgitated view. The politically correct or incorrect view that I'm regurgitating because other people have told me that's what I should think. I myself came from Mexico to the U.S. illegally when I was 9 in 2005. Oh, damn, so you're still pretty young right now. It took my mom, 18. It took my mom and I 2 days and 3 nights to get to this wonderful country. I still remember it like it was yesterday. I mean, yeah, at 9, dude, I guess you would. That must have been a crazy. I'd actually, you know what, Aldo, I'd actually like to get a follow-up email from you if you're not busy on just like anything you remember about that story. I'd love to hear it. That sounds crazy. I still remember it like it was yesterday, now that I think about it. My mom and I risked our lives to get here. I am now 20 and attending a community college to become a nurse. Also, why is it that some people who are born here waste every single opportunity that this country offers? I'm never going to understand that. Hope you read this on the podcast, and feel free to use my name. I am proud of who I am, and it is probably why I am the person I am today. Much love, man. P.S. I am, quote, legal, unquote, now, just waiting to apply for citizenship. I think this is a valuable email to talk about, just like the Iran one. I think this could offer some people a different perspective. Aldo is just a dude just like you. He listens to the podcast. Don't know how he found out about it. Maybe he's a hip-hop fan. You can be a quote-unquote illegal immigrant and be a regular hip-hop fan that lives in the Bay just like anybody else. And what I want to start by saying is when he was 9 and his mom was however old, and they're spending 2 days and 3 nights to try to get into the country, and he says he's risking his life, he means that. And you got to understand, some people would have absolutely no fucking problem with a guy that's sitting on top of a fence or a wall, whatever it is. Some people in this country would have absolutely no problem with that 9-year-old Aldo and his mom getting fucking shot with a sniper rifle. A lot of people in this country would have absolutely no problem with that. So I think that that's fucked up. I think that it's not your choice where you are born. I don't feel this sense of entitlement because I was born in the United States. I know a lot of people feel that. I mean, maybe part of the reason I don't feel that way is because I'm adopted. And I know, I happen to be born in D.C. My biological father wasn't from here. It just as easily could have been born in Cuba, and that would have been extremely different, obviously. But it's not your fucking choice where you're born. You happen to be born here. You happen to be born there. You know what I mean? So who am I to say that I'm more deserving of opportunities than Aldo because of where he was fucking born? If anything, he recognizes how good I have it better than I do. You know, and that's the answer to his last question is, how come people here waste every opportunity? Well, you coming from a different perspective, a different place, you see that what we have here are quote unquote opportunities. Where people that are born here, they don't understand how lucky they are. Because a lot of us, just human beings in general, often just really try to focus on the negative. Focus on all the bad things. And meanwhile, there's cats that come up from a different country, especially from Latin American countries. I know it's a stereotypical thing, but it's a lot of stereotypes are based on truth. A lot of cats that come from Mexico build the houses we live in. People work in the fields. People, do landscaping and shit like that. And they're happy to do that shit. If they were doing the same thing where they're from, they'd be making 1/10 of the money. And here people need that work done, and they do it. And a lot of times if you see like a born in America person doing the same job, they're fucking complaining. Feet hurt, It's because we're raised to think that we're not supposed to have hurting feet. But you hear all this rhetoric. About how Americans work so hard and we need to bring jobs to America and kick out illegal immigrants. You know what happens if we kick out illegal immigrants? The fruit industry fails. The construction industry fails. The whole entire Southern California, the entire area in Southern California would have fucked up property, fucked up roads, fucked up everything, because that's now a segment of our economy that's you can't just take that shit away. And you're not gonna fill the jobs with a bunch of people that were born here, because people think they're too good for that job. And I don't know. A lot of people here do waste every single opportunity. Shit, I've wasted a lot of opportunities, but it's valuable for you, to know that. To go through that experience where you move here, a place where people were just used to, and you came from a place that you deemed as having less opportunities, you can recognize the opportunities that are here. Now, of course, the United States can't just allow every single person who wants to come, because the overpopulation, I guess, is already bad enough. Do I have answers to how to solve the immigration thing? No. I don't know how you solve it. I know that you don't kick everybody out, because there's unintended even economic a crisis that would happen if you did that. Plus, it's impossible. You can't do it. If I was the president, how would I handle that? I don't know. I try to handle it in a humanitarian way, but I'd have to also try to handle it in a realistic way. I don't know, dude. I'd have to learn more about the numbers and shit before I could even really make a proper assessment of that. I think a way to try to slow down illegal immigration would be to try to somehow make Latin America a doper place to live. Try to create more opportunities down there. I don't know. I don't know how that would work. But I do know that, for me personally, if you're going to try to sneak in here, if you can make it, good for you. That's the way I look at it. It's a struggle. It's a struggle to get here. And if you fucking ran for 3 nights across the fucking, I don't know, the Rio Grande area, if you did that, you deserve it as far as I'm concerned. I didn't have to do that to be born here. I just somebody fucked and out I came. Now I'm more important than you. I just don't believe that. Let's see, where are we at here? That was the last one. Okay. Oh, damn. Perfectly timed podcast, an hour long. How long podcasts are supposed to be. I don't know who invented that rule, but I know that it's a pretty often used rule. So fucking be safe out there.